back on the nighttime patrol. Figured we'd start early. Got lots to do today. Can someone recommend me a decent headlamp, please? This one's just not good enough for navigating through pitch black woodland. Sup, spider bro, if you'll focus. Good old treble though, the insect savant amongst us, has ID'd this as Phrygian mystaceum. Setting up shop next to a big old piece of sap though. He's brave. On this Prunus pardus tree, otherwise known as bird cherry, which is commonly mistaken for black birch quite a lot, and understandably so. The horizontal fissures are a feature we typically associate with birch. So if you're wondering why your birch bark won't light, maybe you've mistaken it for a cherry tree. You done goofed.
Oi oi, what's all this about then? The dog's vomit slime mould, but more eloquently named Fuligo Septica. It is very much the same as Enteridium lycopodon I've spoken about in previous videos. It is a slime mould, but yellow. How about that? But it won't always look like this. Like all slime moulds, they drastically change in appearance as they develop. Hi, how you doing? Starts off as small clumps of goo forming into gelatinous plasmodial clumps, then turns spongy, then dries out, breaks apart to release spores. This is its latter stage of reproduction, ready for spore dispersal. Very much so at the end of its tether. But that pretty yellow pigment comes from a chemical called flugorobin A, or 1-hydroxy-2,4-methyl-3,5-dioxo-2-pyrolydinyl propanoic acid, if you want to be well precise, which does indeed carry antibiotic potential. But does that mean you can just slap it on a wound? No, unfortunately. Contamination is always an issue. But regardless, edible. Throw it in the stew pot. Totally harmless. Stumbled across this solid mass of, I'm not sure. At first glance I assumed it was metal, but let's see if it will make them sparks. But pro tip, this is the kind of rock you don't want to put in your fire pit, because it will explode. Air and moisture trapped within the pores of this rock will heat up and expand faster than it can escape. Kaboom! Don't want them projectile rock fragments taking your eye out while you're perched upon a log, gazing onto the fire. That's a very abrupt way of concluding a session of pensive reflection and contemplation. I stumbled across this last week in this little stream. Oh man. In my excitement and haste, I didn't set up the camera to dig it out on film. And at the time I couldn't be asked to replant it and set the camera up and act as if I've just found it again. I was too upset for that. Some of you may instantly recognise what this is, and you may be saying, oh, unlucky son. This is pyrite, but more commonly known as fool's gold. Yeah, bloody fooled me for a moment. I was still upset about it, man, thinking you've came across a huge nugget of elemental gold just to discover that it is a goddamn useless mineral. Can't begin to explain or describe the overwhelming disappointment and deflation that I've felt. But anyway, one way you can tell it apart from elemental gold right off the bat is in its multi-faced crystal structure. These sharp faces are very typical of minerals, which is what pyrite is. Gold tends to lack the regularity. Plus pyrite is really brittle. I mean, I can pick chunks of it off with my finger if I strike it hard enough. Bad times, but an interesting find nonetheless. Certainly fooled me. Now that's an interesting tree right there. I've got cogs turning in my head right now, man. That could be my throne for the time being, while Sean's off doing his thing, Mr. Photography. It's like an armchair. Let's chill. Oh yeah. Now we can get down. But a nice little throne to drink my beer. As lovely as the purple blanket is, it is so treacherous to walk through. The bluebells really do conceal every little surface route and rabbit hole that you would otherwise avoid. Makes for a hard life, considering I'm the hashtag no boots kind of guy. Broken ankles for days. Oi oi. Looks like someone's been lounging about. Looks like he was in the midst of building an A-frame, or maybe he was going next level and building a leaner hut. That AlfieAesthetics patented shelter. That would have been an absolutely massive shelter. On the hunt for some firewood. Ah! That's some good firewood. Need to adjust this knee pad, man. It's so awkward sometimes. Does my nut right in.
Right, let's have it. This job never gets easier. I've got birch for days. Look at all those vibrant colours. That's real purdy. All that birch. The way we're making fire today is with a fire steel. Haven't done that in a while. This is Sean's fire steel. As the BG fire steel received an honourable discharge. It's just too worn out now. But the plan when I came out here today was to make a magnifying glass fire. But I was going to operate under the pretense that I didn't have a magnifying glass, so I had to improvise and use my headlamp. Take the lens off. Oh, would you look at that? That's a convex lens, mate. We could start a fire with that. But the sun's not out. It's kind of gone back in. So that's unfortunate. I'll save that for another day. Well, there we go. It might look unstructured and unpresentable, but it's efficient. We've got plenty of wood hanging over the fire that will dry out from the flames of the tinder. We've got plenty of small twigs. Ah, stinging nettles, man. Oh, that was a blackberry fawn. Blackberry foliage, man. Spiky. What was I saying? We've got plenty of small bits of kindling in amongst the fire to get a small bed of coals which will eventually burn down to the thicker pieces. Good game. Because it's pretty damp out and I foresee it raining, better coals is the name of the game tonight. So let's get this bad boy lit up. Figured I'd go for the fomentarius. It's more of a test for the fire steel. Whoa, damn! That humidity is not working with me today. All that moisture in my firewood. Damp days, man. It's been quite bipolar. Sunny shower, now overcast. Bad times. The key to igniting something so dense as this is rather than showering it in sparks from afar, you have to bathe it in sparks. You have to get real up close and personal. I'm using the hilt of my knife because the striker for this fire steel is shit. It's one of those hacksaw, finely toothed type strikers. Easily done. The stinging nettle, Urtica Dioca to be precise, since there are many different genera and species of nettle that don't sting and have different properties, but I'm talking about what's commonly referred to as the stinging nettle. And a few of its medicinal properties, but allow me to get comfy. This might be a lengthy talk. In my opinion, the most useful property of stinging nettle in terms of its medicinal value is that it's an abundant source of iron. I believe they are the highest plant source of iron for that matter. And to perform with maximum efficiency, we need an adequate source of iron in our diet. Iron is responsible for the production of red blood cells, amongst other things, but if we are deficient in iron, that means less red blood cells. Less red blood cells means less oxygen can be carried to and fro your muscle tissue and organs, which results in fatigue and susceptibility to exhaustion from everyday tasks. Not a great thing to have while out and about in the woodland where it's hard work all day. Plus, if you've suffered a wound and you've lost a considerable amount of blood, eating nettles or drinking nettle tea will get you back in the game a lot quicker than you would otherwise because of the boost it will give you in replacing red blood cells. And for those that suffer from joint issues, pain, inflammation, discomfort, you may be familiar with uric acid, right? Nettles do a good job of eliminating uric acid from the joints, which is why a lot of people that suffer from gout and arthritis in particular hop on the nettle train. So let's make some nettle tea, just for kicks. Just get the fire back up.
Just blanch the nettles over the fire beforehand. This destroys the trichomes, and be as thorough as you want. No stingage. Happy days. That soothing glow. What do you know about that incandescence? Ah, there we go. You don't need to boil nettles, they're totally fine to eat raw. But this is untreated water, so we did need to boil that. Anyway, let's get that off. There we go. Hurrah! Get the 10 pegs out. Oh, that never usually happens. Why does it have to happen on camera? There we go, that's one. And there we go. Good old sticks. Chef's rights, first dibs. I can tell you from previous experience that it tastes a lot nicer than it looks. It smells really nice. It kind of smells like the seaside, you know. It's a mixture of sweetness and saltiness. It's like you've got the sea air, all that salt, and then you've got like the smell of cotton candy and all that lingering from the fair that's close by. And it tastes exactly like spinach. It just tastes like you've brewed spinach in water. So, you know, that's pretty nice, you know. It tastes like home. It tastes like something you'd knock up at home if you were to drink spinach water. See that over yonder? Oh, hello. Laters, bruv. That's a weeping willow. And that's what I've been looking for quite some time. Ah, here we go. No day is complete without a scrimmage through knee-high nettles. Hashtag hard life. That's one sting, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that was a double whammy. That's about 7. I have been searching for a willow tree for ages. I've only spotted 2 in the entirety of my ventures. All miles apart though, but let's get down. I want that willow. Oh, more nettles. The struggle is real. Oh, for God's sake. I hope that's not what I think it is. This tree was planted in celebration of the life of Patricia and Chalice. Oh man. I can't bring myself to use this tree now. I was going to break off some branches. I was going to take off a bunch of leaves, but nah, man. Can't do that. I will not desecrate a memorial tree, no matter how much of an arsehole I am. Oh well. Mate, I think if anyone that suffered from hay fever walks through here, they would fall into a coma. That pollen, man, is overwhelming, plus all the cow parsley. Oh, I hate the smell of cow parsley, man. It really is offensive to my olfactory receptors. I found one! If there's a memorial plaque on this one, I'm gonna go schizo, mate. Man's stress levels are already in next dimensions. That's what we want right there, a big old branch and a big old bunch of leaves. Lovely jubbly. Worth the trek. I won't talk much about why I'm going through all the trouble to source willow, nor will I talk about its medicinal properties, such as a topical antiseptic, because I'm saving all that for a comprehensive video on the subject. Talk about that biochemistry at a later date. Apply it to wounds as a plaster, antiseptic, although not the kind of antiseptic you think. Take some leaves while I'm at it too, make some tea when I get back. Hell yeah. It's a back of the knife job separating the inner bark from the outer bark. Chew on this, pain relief, in the long and short of it. This is what it looks like after about 5 minutes of chewing it. We lack the enzymes required to break down cellulose. Can't break down those beta-acetyl linkages, but chewing on it will leach the chemicals we want. That's salicylic acid and such. Very bitter though, not unbearably so at first, but it's kind of like an accumulative sensory overload. Good times. Back to camp. I told Shaunicus I'd only be gone 20 minutes. I've been gone an hour and a half. Right, so now all I have to do is carry that another half a mile over there. Oh, that's a heavy old thing, I'll tell you. Oh man, this is the first time I've actually sat down to chill today. So dehydrated. The water I came out here with today is still 3/4 full. Time to turn off the camera, chillax, cook dinner, them gammon steaks and pineapple. What do you know about that combination?
Yeah!
Yeah!
Very much!
Yeah!
Very much!
Yeah!
Yeah!
Decided some seconds were in order. Dandelion root is in there somewhere, probably at the bottom. Primrose leaves, willow leaves. I think that's about it. Just kind of threw whatever I could find laying around in there. Why not, eh? What do you know about that hippie bullshit? It's very bland though, but you know, we tend to master true taste of things with seasoning and sauces and whatnot. It's not really a habit I intended getting into out here. Nice enough though. Certainly wouldn't turn my nose up at it. Last week's subliminal flash was indeed that fungus. And it was indeed Macrolepiota procera. Hey, it was a tricky one to ID, I'll give you that, as there are quite a few similar genera. One similar genus in particular was Chlorophyllum. More specifically, Chlorophyllum rhacodes, otherwise known as the Shaggy Parasol, which seemed to be a prominent answer, but no dice. No dice. But the key identifying distinguishing factor between Chlorophyllum and Macrolepiota, that craggy, textured stipe is very typical of the Macrolepiotas, whereas Chlorophyllums tend to lack that patterned stipe and remains quite bare. But they are incredibly similar, so I can dig the misidentifications. So it's good to know your parasols, as there are quite a few edible varieties out there which are delicious when cooked, but there are also some toxic varieties that look almost identical. No surprise there. Nothing's ever easy out here. Get to know those Macrolepiotas and Chlorophyllums. But shout out to you lot, in no particular order. The Fire Guy's mum for correctly identifying it as Macrolepiota. Good old mumsy, eh? Trusty Patches again. Damn son, I will say that you're on point. 10 out of 10. Would bend over a table. Matthias Bengston again also. How you doing, brother? And Mac Woe. Close enough, mate. I will allow that. Chlorophyllum rhacodes used to be classed as a Macrolepiota, but genetic analysis revealed it to be closer to the genus of Chlorophyllum rather than Macrolepiota, so they updated the name. Macrolepiota rhacodes is no longer recognised as legitimate, but it's close enough. Close enough. By the skin of your teeth, mate. And shout out to Lucas Esser, C Maxwell 2013K, and Joe Pierre Antoni. Also got it spot on. Grats, bruh. And Kit Kat. Oh, darling. You were right the first time, sunshine. You fucking wrecked yourself, mate. But you're still deserving of the recognition in my eyes, despite changing your answer. I feel so bad having to leave people out. But to all the Chlorophyllum bros and broesses, so close. So close. As for the Stinkhorn bros, good answer. But nah, son. I'll show you some stinkhorns next time, as they're just starting to pop out around this time. But also shout outs to Living Survival and his cannabis farm. How you doing, brother? Winnipeg DJ, sup Canada bro. Adrian Radford, Jim Foster, Jack Gabovic, DSK 187, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg reference perhaps, Clint Hardwood and Michael Tremuto for unrelated reasons. And Jack Simmons, happy early birthday, bro. I can't wish you a happy birthday on the 19th. I don't think I'll be uploading on that specific day. But do a line for me, son. I'll be there with you in spirit. So good night, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you in the next one.